Hello everyone, and thanks for joining us. This week we are continuing on with our Moonwood Mill Save File, and this is lot number 3 of 5, and we are building an old sawmill because, hey, we are in an old logging town, and 2, mill is in the actual name of the town, so we had to build an old sawmill, right? And if you've seen my other previous videos, you know that we're going for a very realistic feel in this world. I want it to seem very realistic, run down, and I want this town to feel kind of sad, but I also don't think it's too far gone. I feel like there's a lot of Sims in this town that would really like to revitalize it, and I think this could be an up-and-coming place. But also in my mind, I feel like this is kind of in the middle of nowhere, and so that's why there's not a ton of things going on here. But this old sawmill is a community space, and more specifically, it's a makerspace. So with going with that kind of storyline of being out in the middle of nowhere, and I feel like there's a lot of Sims here that are very for DIY. We got some tough Sims that take things into their own hands and like to craft things on their own because, hey, when you're in the middle of nowhere, and you can't always rely on goods coming in steadily, then you kind of got to do things yourself. And that's kind of where I was going with this. Community space. This is actually a first for me. I've never built a community space before. So this was a lot type that came with eco lifestyle. And I know there's some other variations you can do with this. So it starts off as a community space, and then your community can vote where they want to take this community space. And I know one is the makerspace. I think one is like a gardening center, and then one is for, I think, selling goods. I think. You can correct me in the comments if you want, because I don't actually play the game so much. I'm really curious for those of you that play the game, do you use community spaces very often? Have you kind of forgotten about eco lifestyle? I don't know, maybe this will get you excited again, but I really felt like this fit in very well with this town. And then, like I said, this was kind of fun for me as a first of building a community space. Yeah, it was a nice little change up, and I like to keep things varied up for you guys so you don't get bored with the same old every week. Right now we are working on the mill pond, or the log pond. In my mind, this place is powered by water. I don't know if it was necessarily back in the day when this was first built. I think it was. And now I feel like they're using water to power this place. So beyond the sawmill, they're also using it to power the inside for the makerspace. But mill ponds were kind of interesting. So I mean, one, you have the water to power the place, but then some of these mill ponds were also log ponds. So if you're in the logging community, like we are, they would bring all these logs and dump them into the pond. And this was interesting. So back when we did not have as much technology, and we didn't have the machines to pull these super heavy logs. Water was a great way to transport logs. So they'd push them into this pond, and not only was it great for positioning them into place to pull them up on this basically like conveyor belt to have them then milled, but it also cleaned off all the gunk that was on the bark. And then it also prevented fires from happening, which is important with working with all this wood. You don't want fires happening. So yeah, I thought that was kind of a cool little thing. I did a little research into that because I like learning new things, and you know, this is a part of all of our past, so I think it's pretty cool. So I was recreating the very like old school way of doing this. So we have the log pond where they're pulling up these logs. So they would like hook in this giant hook with a chain and basically yank that thing up into place. And I haven't looked into extensively like over the years, but I mean, some of these places were powered by water, some of them were powered by steam, and then that's how you would be able to operate the actual sawmill part. You'll see in a bit, the saw that I chose to use comes out of the conveyor belt. I did see, so there was kind of some different types of saws that they used in these places. So of course, the one that probably comes to mind is like the circular saw, and like that was used in a lot of cartoons and thing. That's probably what you think of with a sawmill, is the circular blade, but I didn't really know what I could use in the game for that. So I used an up and down blade, which is one of the blades they actually did use in sawmills. So I'm like, okay, well, this works. It seemed like that kind of blade took a lot longer to cut through the wood, and watching videos of this actually functioning was really interesting. If I remember, I will link some of those videos down below if you actually want to see one in operation. It's really, really interesting. I feel like there was probably way more sawdust with like the up and down blade versus the circular. I don't know. It seemed like it was kind of hard going with this type of blade versus the circular. I don't know. But yeah, I'll try to link some of those below if you want to check it out. It's really interesting. I think it's really cool. So yeah, we're working on this conveyor belt that's going to hook up to that saw. And then obviously in The Sims, this part is completely not functional. Big surprise. This part is just for looks. The pond basically is just for looks. I did not add a fishing sign. If you guys want to add a fishing sign in there and have your Sims be able to fish, you can. I don't think the pond would be a great place to fish, unfortunately, because I feel like if you cast your lure into there, the hook would end up getting stuck on one of the logs and it would be a very miserable fishing trip. But I mean, once again, it's The Sims. It's not actually real life. So if you want your Sims to be able to go fishing in the pond, you can just plop a little sign in there, and that's another activity they can do here. You also may notice I did not put any windows onto this part of the build because I figured if there's any kickback from the saw and something goes flying, you would have broken windows all over the place. So I don't think it would be realistic to have all these windows lining this area, even though I think it would look great in The Sims. I just feel like, yeah, no, this is a bad idea. Yeah, it's a bad idea. Lots of broken glass. So then a little later, you'll see I added on a separate entrance to the rest of the building. So that is nice and safe away from the dangerous saw and kickback of who knows. Yeah, I can't imagine how dangerous this profession was. I mean, I can only imagine, and it seems kind of scary. So we won't think about that much. So like I said earlier, this is lot 3 of 5. So far we have obviously this community space. We have a lounge, which was the old radio station and recording studio. And if you wanted to, you could change that into a bar. So lounge, bar, kind of that similar venue. And then we also have a starter home. So that leaves 2 more lots in this world to complete. And I figured we were going to do 2 more residential because I don't want to overcrowd this world with too many venues and things to do, and then no one's actually living here. And if we're going with the storyline that this is kind of in the middle of nowhere, in my mind of what I was thinking, there's not going to be a ton of stuff to do in this town because it's small and hard to get to. So I wanted this to be a little bit more residential dense versus like things to do. And I think like when I would play the game, I wanted more Sims versus things to do. And I mean, hey, you can travel outside this world to do other things. So it's not like this is it and you can't leave the world. But I don't know if you have other suggestions, like you would prefer there to be another community lot, you can still let me know. I mean, obviously, the next lot I do will be a residential lot, but I still have some time to tweak things. Otherwise, I have one solid idea that I know I'm going to do for residential, and I'm not sure if I do another residential. I have some ideas for that, but I'm not quite sure. We'll probably have this series on pause for a little bit because we are getting a new expansion soon, which is the high school expansion. So I know everyone's going to want to have everything related to school, and we're getting curved walls, which is extremely exciting. Although now when I'm thinking about it, I'm like, what do I build with curved walls? I don't know if I'll build something with curved walls right away. I'm just going to go where the inspiration takes me. I'm planning on building a high school, so that will be coming soon. And we're getting a lot of Art Deco stuff with this new expansions. So yes, Art Deco. I'm excited about that. So there's probably going to be some Art Deco builds. I will quickly mention. So what I was just working on in this build, I figured was the generator room. So that's where we're producing our electricity from the water, and that's what's keeping this place running. I like those little details of realism. Like obviously it's not super realistic, and I'm just putting in things that are kind of simulating that. So yes, I'm not an engineer. I don't know anything about electricity, but it's just to give it like that hint of realism. And we had the entryway, and now we're working on the lower level of the community space. So I figured this was the place where the brainstorming happens and smaller projects are going on down here, like all the little tinkering. So I mean, in the game, you really can't do anything here. With playtesting, Sims were sitting here and chatting, which is kind of cool. So like the brainstorming idea. But then when we turn around and face the other way, I put in some of the like the chemistry sets for kids. So yes, there's something for kids to do here, which is nice because there's not a ton of stuff for kids to do always. So I thought that was pretty cool. So this is more of the kids' space downstairs, and then upstairs is actually where the adults would be, and there's tons of stuff upstairs. So I actually used the robotics like station, not from Discovery University, but from Get to Work, that came with the scientist career, because when am I ever going to use that thing? And I just figured, okay, it kind of seems like it would fit in here. I feel like we're getting some kind of techie stuff going on at this place. So like I said, this is an up and coming town. I think the citizens have some good things planned for this town, and they're bringing in some more technology. So, and then besides that, we have like the basic stuff that is required in the makerspace. So I think that there's like the recycler and like the other, I don't know, what is that machine called? It's like the fabricator. I think it's the fabricator. But then I also included, we have like our station for making fizzy drinks. We have woodworking tables upstairs, and I think that's it. But it's a decent amount of items and things for your Sims to do. So it's always fun when you can bring Sims to a lot and you don't feel like you're bored and there's a lot of things to do. I think that's cool. But I mean, yeah, this is a very basic setup. I mean, I wanted this place to be run down inside, and it's not anything fancy, and I just really wanted to stick with that. So it's like, you'll see it. It's not anything super fancy, but there's a ton of stuff for your Sims to do here. And like I said, it's nice that the kids have something to do. Happy about that. So we are getting towards the end of our video. I want to thank you so much for being here once again. If you're not already subscribed, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a like, and don't forget to comment down below. I want to know if you use this pack, the Eco Lifestyle pack. Let me know. I'm curious. But anyways, enjoy the rest of this video, and we will see you all next week, everyone. Have a great week. Bye!
This is as good a day as any to start the rebuilding of life. The roads that lay open are many when the old one's gone under the knife. And I can feel the sun on my skin, beginning to thaw from within. smile.